Welcome to your Yin Yoga practice. Today we are going to be touching on all of the different areas of the body so that no matter where you're feeling tight, this should help you feel a whole lot more freedom, a whole lot more space for breath and just to live your life well, yeah? So let's begin in a child's pose. We're not going to need any props for today's practice. However, if you have props around you, feel free to grab them. We'll bring the knees nice and wide, big toes to touch, and begin to walk the hands forward. Forehead to meet the mat. If your forehead doesn't easily meet the mat, then grab some kind of a prop, like a pillow or a block, and pop that underneath. And we're just going to arrive here, arriving into stillness, closing down the eyes, and dropping into your breath. And asking yourself, how can I soften, relax, and deepen into myself? Just a few % more. That might look like relaxing the jaw, the temples, the arms, the fingers. And see if you can create a little more space with your breath. And as you breathe in, you feel the belly and the side ribs expand. And as you breathe out, feeling everything soften and everything relax. Inhale, we're going to find our way up to a 4-point position, hands and knees. Draw the knees in a little closer so they're hip width distance apart. And we're going to step the right foot to the outside of the right hand, coming into a dragon lunge or a lizard lunge. And so you've got the hands on the floor and the right toes pointing forward. We should be feeling this over the front of the left hip. If this is just a little bit too much for you, you can creep the right foot in and do the same, resting your forearms on your thigh. This is a nice place to be. A little bit of a different sensation, hands to the inner seam, walking that right foot wide. And I'm going to give you a few variations here for you to feel into what is going to be the medicine that your hips need today. Which part of your hip feels most tight and most in need of love. So in other words, which portion of this practice do you not want to do? And you probably want to emphasize that. So you can stay here. As I explained earlier, you can come up and rest on the thigh. Another variation we can do here is to walk the right foot a little wider, turn the foot out 45 degrees and roll to the knife edge of the foot. So that just gives us a little bit of a different sensation, different part of the hip to access. And you might even like to come down onto your forearms. And we'll stay here and breathe. If you're feeling like this is super intense, your body is shaking, it's just a little too much, I ask you to pull out just a little bit more. So with this practice of Yin Yoga, we only really want to go into the shape to about 60% of our stretching capacity. You never want to feel like you're straining, pulling, shaking. So let yourself pull out a little bit. And then let yourself relax. Bringing the attention once again to the breath. Closing down the eyes if that feels comfortable. Or at least having a soft gaze. It's said in yoga that the eyes are a main place that we leak energy from. We leak a lot of prana from our eyes. So you can imagine with most of us that spend our days staring at screens and mostly screens, right? How much energy we're releasing from our bodies. So we do the opposite of that. It's called pratyahara, nourishing our senses from within by closing down the eyes, feeding ourselves energetically. Let's take one more deep breath in here. And a big sigh out. Let's move really slowly, move really gently, shift those hips back. We'll return to our child's pose. If it feels better, you might like to lie on your belly. Child's pose, bringing the palms all the way together. And this is optional. You can bend the elbows, so this is going to open through the triceps. Starting with opening the front body today. Just about 5 slow breaths here, feeling the effects of the dragon lunge that we were just in. Noticing sensations in your hips. And in any part of the body where you've felt the stretch. Extending the arms long, floating up to hands and knees, and we're going to go straight to the second side. So scooch those knees in a little closer, and we'll step the left foot to the outside of the left hand, taking whichever variation you did on the other side. So you might be coming up, hanging out here. Maybe you're walking that left foot a little wider, turning the left foot out 45. You might be coming onto the forearms, hanging out wherever feels most medicinal for you, wherever feels most beneficial. And we'll stay and we'll breathe. Nourishing the senses from within. And so this is a big task of our age, is to do the kind of radical shift of, instead of looking for sensation from outside, looking for dopamine hits, looking for validation from the outside world, as we're all so well trained to do. It's kind of a radical act to close down the eyes and to nourish the senses from within. And this is really a main limb of yoga. And so come back to your breath. Come back to sensation. Come back to the present moment. Let's take one more deep breath in. And a big sigh out as we start to shift the hips back. Ooh. Knees come beneath the hips. This time we're going to sit all the way up and allow ourselves to rebound just by sitting in stillness on the knees. If it's uncomfortable for you to sit on your knees, you can be sitting on something like a chair or a block. And close down the eyes. And just give a moment for the hips to speak, for them to give feedback. If they're screaming a little bit right now, it's an indication you've maybe gone a little too deep into the shape. But ideally, we should be feeling the hips being rehydrated. The fascia has been stressed, and now there's hydration and prana and blood able to flow through those hips a whole lot more. Let's blink open the eyes, and we'll just shift the hips over to one side. Moving from back bends to forward folds, we will begin with just a caterpillar pose. So you can untuck any flesh from underneath the sit bones. Your 2 legs are long. I like to have my feet about hip width distance apart. And different from vinyasa, let the feet just relax, let them be floppy. The knees can be bent. And we're going to come into a forward fold, but instead of just rolling forward, let's go back first. Let's go back and find a C curve through the spine. And then from this C curve, then let's begin to fold forward. So we're not just stretching the back of the legs, but it's the entire back line of the body that's being released. And if it's possible, see if you can rest your elbows on your thighs and your head in your hands. If that's not possible, hands can be on the mat. If sitting like this is enough of a stretch, stay like this. Again, we're looking for that 60% stretching capacity. Once you've found the position that feels good in your body, once you've found the position that works for you, close down the eyes, nourish your senses from within. Practice pratyahara. Again, asking yourself, how can you soften into this shape a little more? How can you make it a little bit sweeter for yourself? So for me, it's the jaw that I hold a lot of tension in, and it often for me means just relaxing the jaw and the face. Maybe it's relaxing your toes and finding a little bit more depth in your breath. Creating a shape that feels really yummy, that feels really good. Nourishing. Let's take a deep breath in. And a big sigh out. Slowly, slowly release. Roll yourself up to seated. Open up the eyes. Scooch ourselves forward, so there's lots of room behind you to lay down. And nice and slowly we'll make our way down to the back, hugging the right knee toward the chest. Give the right knee a big squeeze and extend the left leg long. And from here we'll find a twist, bringing the right knee all the way across the body, and see if you can bring the right knee to meet the floor. If it doesn't meet the floor, you can grab a pillow or something like that. And then once we've brought the right knee onto the floor or onto a prop, then open the right arm out to the right. And before landing into complete stillness, we'll take a few chalk circles, borrowing a Pilates move. We'll imagine that there's a little piece of chalk in your right hand and you want to draw a big circle around the body. So reach the right arm all the way up overhead, tracing along the floor or as close to the floor as you can, coming all the way around over the right thigh, the right hip, and back up and around. And you might find that somewhere along this journey, you find something that feels really good, somewhere that feels really good. You can pause there. And after this third and final circle, we'll pause, coming into stillness. Finding a slight drawing in of the navel toward the spine. If you're quite bendy and you feel like you can go a bit deeper into this shape, you can start to bend the left knee. You can catch hold of the left foot with your right hand. You might even like to straighten out the right leg and catch hold of your right foot with your left hand. And that's not going to be me today. Let's turn the gaze to the right, and once again closing down the eyes. We're softening the gaze. Finding a little more depth through your breath. A little more sweetness through your body, a little more softness. And find this practice of yin is just so insanely important, especially if you live a very yang kind of lifestyle. A lifestyle that involves a lot of movement, action, decision-making, running. Balancing that yang with a little yin is medicine beyond measure. And this is what helps us to build something in Ayurveda that we call ojas. Ojas is our immunity, it's our happiness, it's our sweetness. Without ojas, life feels just a little bit dry. If you're holding your feet, release them and come through center. Keep the right knee hugged in. Step your left foot flat. So before twisting the other side, let's just wrap the right thigh over the left thigh. Hug the knees in toward the chest and grab hold of your knees if you can. And so this is a bit more of a hip kind of release. Slight tuck of the chin so the back of the neck is long. And this might be where you stay. Or you might like to walk the hands down the shins and catch hold of the ankles or maybe the soles of the feet if you can. And if you can catch the soles of the feet, press the knees away and lift the heels up. This is a little bit more yang heat creating. A little bit more effort involved here, but see if you can still stay soft. Still stay soft. Another deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. Release the feet or the knees or the ankles, and we'll just ravel the legs up the other way. This time left thigh on top. Hug the knees to chest. If this is giving you a really nice release and if it feels good in your body, please stay. If you want a different sensation, hands come down the shins, catching hold of the ankles or the feet or the shins, and press the knees away, lift the heels up, but let the back of your head still be really heavy on the mat. And there's such a medicine in letting ourselves be heavy on the mat. Invoking more earth element. And super regulating for the nervous system. In fact, simply feeling the earth beneath your body and your body on the earth can quite instantly take our nervous system into more of a parasympathetic state. So anytime you're feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit overheated, a bit highly strung, just feeling the earth will quite instantly help to bring us back down. Go ahead and release the legs, hugging the left knee to chest, right leg long, and we'll twist the other way. Left knee all the way to the mat if it makes it. And then we open the left arm out to the left. Taking those chalk circles, left arm up and over the ear, coming down and around, over the left thigh and back up and around. If that doesn't feel good in your shoulders, don't do it. Just finding a spot that does feel good. And after finishing off the third chalk circle, making your way to stillness. There's the option here to reach down and catch hold of your right foot with your left hand. Maybe you're even extending the right leg long and catching hold of the right foot, left foot with the right hand, if that feels good for you. Turn your gaze to the left and close down the eyes, or soften the gaze. Taking one more deep breath in here. And big breath out. Begin to release, unravel, make your way back to center. And find your way into a shavasana. Coming to rest heavy on the mat. I invite you to stay here for as long as you wish, really allowing yourself to marinate in and soak in this practice. Whenever you're ready, joining me by making your way up to seated. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope that this has felt so amazing in your body. Thank you.